I don't even know why I'm bothering to do this. But I happened to see this come up on my feeds, and I listened through it, and the entire time I listened through it, I'm just shaking my head. I'm actually not signed in right now, as you can see, but I am signed in on my phone, and I will. Well, after we get a little bit into it, I'll read off what I wrote that you may or may not see in the comments section. Actually, I'll just read it off right now. 1. White supremacy. There, diagnosed. And as you go and watch this, or when we watch through it, and I add my commentary. This is a dissecting video, and anybody who's been following me for a while knows how those go. So 1, white supremacy. They're diagnosed. You'll know I said that as we go through. 2, show me where someone has hammered or stabbed a church slash theater slash school, etc. slash etc. Full of people. 3, why is it only white males doing these kinds of terrorist acts? That's what the eye patch dude, the fake me out big boss, or I don't know, not even Liquid Snake, Colonel Campbell actually, went and called it terrorist acts. Okay, well, that's what I'll call it. These terrorist acts, and they all have some white supremacist dealing. Meaning that they have some white supremacist stuff when people go and look at their social media or go and check their bedroom or some crap. 4, last time I checked, El Paso was in an open fucking carry state of, in bold and caps, Texas. So no, gun-free zones aren't the first or only target. 5, I could dismantle this whole video, this whole show. In fact, it looks like a new video for me, and so that's why we are here. I also made a couple of screenshots from comments of other people, so I will go through those as they come up or are warranted. 1, 2, there we go. So let's get started, huh? This should be good. All right, so make sure this is in. What else can we do? 1080 at 60. Let's do that. Let's do this. Awesome. All right, let's get started.
The Joe Rogan experience.
When people talk about issues in this country, there's a giant divide with one thing in particular, and that is
this thing not pause?
Mass shootings.
Okay.
Mass shootings and gun control. There's a giant divide between people that are Second Amendment advocates and people that want to round up all the assault weapons and take away all the guns, and they think the guns are the problem. When you see this pretty disturbing increase in mass shootings in this country,
Mm-hmm.
what is your take on it, and what do you think could be done?
Well, it's awful. They're terrorist attacks, and I think it's safer to call them that. Whether depending on how you.
Okay, so now you see where I got the term terrorist acts in my opening reading off of my comments.
You define a mass shooting. Now you define when we look at murder statistics, we're actually at a very, very low point in our history. I mean, look at the early '90s. It was.
And immediately, the dog whistles come out. We're talking about these mass shootings. Forget the past, right? Forget the past. And now we're talking about the early 90s and murder statistics and stuff. Why don't you just come out and say it, man? Because I think at this point in time, even the people who really who truthfully are, I won't say dumb, I'll say ignorant. Not the ones that want to play dumb, but the ones that are truly unknowing, all 1, 2, 3 of them. Even they can now see it. Why don't you just say, well, if you look at black people, and if you look at Chicago, and back in the 90s, why don't you just do that, dude? I mean, really, you're not fooling anyone. Come on now.
Vastly more murders by gun than we have now. Just statistically speaking.
What's that because of? Do they know?
Well, there was a massive kind of war on crime, I think, in the 90s.
And there you go. We're gonna get tough on crime, war on drugs. Again. You see? I mean, dude, you're just trying to race bait, and yet here it is, the very next sentence. He goes and says that. Now, who was that war on crime and war on drugs on? Asians? East Indians? Middle Easterns? Right. So we talk about mass shootings in today's day and age, and we have to now go back, 90s, 2000s, 10s, damn near 30 years ago. He immediately goes back to 30 years ago. Okay.
Increase in police. You had some of the crime bills that went through, which are obviously the source of a lot of debate right now in the Democrat primary. And there was an approach to fix that. Okay, tackling gang violence, tackling all
approach to fix that. Did it actually fix it? Did it actually fix it? War on alcohol, i.e. prohibition. That didn't fix it. People still got their alcohol. War on drugs. Hey, all you white people that are getting fucked up with the opioids, how's that war on drugs coming, huh? Okay, and I could go into that whole opioids thing and how come all those people that happen to be white suffering from these opioids. We'll keep moving. Let's see now. So that's war on alcohol from the early 1900s. War on drugs. Okay. War on crime. So crime is now almost non-existent. Am I to understand that? How's that war on crime coming? Right. Exactly.
of these things. And we live in a much, even though you wouldn't think so, because of these kind of theatrical, again, they're terrorist attacks. I don't know what else to call them.
Right.
Because the person doing it is trying to commit terror.
Right.
And, for different reasons, of course, but or at least they attach themselves to some kind of reason. But in the end,
it's all white supremacy. Every single time when it's been some white person doing these terrorist attacks, there have been some white supremacist shit that they have found in their social media, in their house, whatever. Hell, even that whole thing with Columbine, the very first one, as far as I know, in this country, even that, I saw another video, I think it was that African diaspora thing, where Phil had this white woman call in, and she basically explained what led up to that whole Columbine thing. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff, like there was, what the hell, where something happened somewhere in the middle of the United States. I think it was with the, not Branch Davidian, it's something else. And then Ruby Ridge, if anybody knows what that is. If you don't, go research it. And then Columbine. So even that had just the only non-white mass shootings that I can think of, again, that whole DC sniper thing, that was a black guy, and that was because the system was trying to take his kids. There's the Virginia Tech thing with the Asian dude, and he let it be known, yo, he's getting real fucking tired of these white people with all this fucking privilege and all this ability to, and all this, no, not even ability, but, not ability like them themselves having the ability to do the work, but they have access to all of this stuff to be able to advance. And yet him, like many other immigrants, have to work so much harder just to get what they get, and yet, they're on equal foot. He was just pissed off at how easier white people had it versus him. So that was the Asian dude at Virginia Tech. And then now this most recent mass shooting in, Virginia Beach, by this white guy, by this black guy. He was an engineer. I think he was just pissed off, the standard issue going postal. So there was that. And then, of course, there's this, what happened in Philadelphia just a couple days ago. Where's the black dude again? And that, I think, was just a drug deal. That wasn't any kind of anything else. I think that was just like a drug bust gone wrong or some crap like that from what I've been able to glean. So there's that. But the vast majority of them, white supremacy related. It's that simple.
they're angry at something, and they've probably been taking some kind of psychotropic drugs over time, and
Yes, okay, and so we start with the excuses, and didn't Roseanne try this, and the drug company let it be known, no bitch, that's not us, that was you. Didn't she try this crap? Drugs. Everybody takes Tylenol, Advil, Bayer, whatever the hell. Okay. Maybe even some Robitussin. Why is it only the vast majority of it is white and male? Why not white and female? You want to say, oh my god, there's more white people in the country, so obviously. Okay, so why aren't white females doing this? There's never been a single mass shooter that's been a white female. Why not? Why is it always only white and male? Drugs, really? How's that war on drugs coming?
they've gotten to this point, and they'll attach themselves to whatever reason they need to do this, and it's awful.
The reason, oh my god, white supremacy, oh my god, we're losing the country, all these illegals, all these niggers, all these immigrants, and oh my god, the Muslims, the leftist, liberal, commie, and all that stuff. Yeah, it standard issue stuff. Am I right? I'm just guessing. Yeah.
So, how do you fix that? We have to understand the problem. We have to diagnose it. And
now you see where my comment on diagnosis came. It's white supremacy. Done. Okay.
And then we got to, and I think we have to be realistic about what the solutions really are and what our ability to influence those outcomes really is. And that's an emotional conversation for people.
No, it's not an emotional conversation for people. The reason why you're saying that, and the reason why it supposedly is for some people, is because you know full well you're talking about white people when you say this, or white men specifically. Okay. If it was Islamic terrorists doing all these mass shootings here, we wouldn't be saying this. We wouldn't be trying to blame it on drugs. We wouldn't be trying to do any of that stuff. If it was, I don't know, shit. Black people doing all of these mass shootings, or Hispanics or East Indians, we wouldn't be talking about, oh, well, let's analyze it. Oh, my God, what is their alcohol or drug consumption? You wouldn't be saying any of this, okay? And you're not fooling anybody.
We've been dealing with it for the last few weeks, of course. I mean, it's front and center in the debate. And so, but we got to have it.
What can be done?
Yeah. So obviously the reaction by many is to go after the tool, right? To go after the guns. I don't think that's the right approach. It's not clear that would actually solve the problem. There's two main requirements when you're looking at an approach to gun control. It's like, does it infringe on law-abiding citizens' rights? Number one, what's the answer to that? And two, is it going to actually affect the outcome that we're trying to affect?
Does it stop white people from having guns? And that's what the whole law-abiding business. Again, we're not playing dumb here.
Is it going to feel good or is it going to do good? Okay, and I think the vast majority of proposals fail both of those standards. They definitely infringe on law-abiding citizens' rights, and they probably wouldn't even solve the problem. Look at example is assault rifles. Or it's not, ARs. Okay, they're called assault rifles. They're really, the reason they're an AR is because they're called Armalite. That's a brand. Assault rifle is not a real thing. It's not a real definition. And but what if you banned them? Well, rifles are responsible for less than 3% of all gun deaths. About 2.66% of all gun deaths. Okay, hammers and knives, I think, are
of all gun deaths. We're not talking about all gun deaths, because when it comes down to it, people aren't exactly using Glocks or I don't know, even Desert Eagles or anything to do these mass shootings that we've been seeing all over the place. They're not used. So the moment that you start saying all gun deaths, we're not talking about all gun deaths. Zero it into the mass shooting gun deaths, not the, I don't know, the Bundy Ranch shootout. That's not, that shouldn't be included. Okay, You see how deceptive this guy is with this. We're not talking all gun deaths. We're not talking all gun deaths. And is only responsible for 2 point whatever. Well, as Joe Rogan is going to do in a second, statistics are really... I could do an entire video about statistics, but yeah, you got to be really careful with statistics. They can say whatever the hell you want them to say based on how they're done.
Are responsible for far more deaths.
Is that true?
Yes.
Hammers and knives are responsible
Yep.
for more deaths than rifles?
Okay.
Right, hammers and knives. I wonder how that's being counted. See, even he realizes, dude, come on now. I'm trying to be on your side here because I'm real suspicious of Joe Rogan. Okay, I'm real suspicious of him. But I'm trying to be on your side here, dude. But really, hammers and knives, really, hammers and knives. And to that point, I will say, I'm working on my Flash speed. You know, Marvel's Flash, or is that DC? No, Marvel. I'm working on that so I can outrun bullets. That, but I'm not quite there yet. Okay. However, all of these people that are doing these mass shootings, I haven't seen one that I get the sense that I couldn't outrun. Even though the last time I actually got into a full-on sprint was back in high school, and I'm now 6'7" and 350 pounds. Let's just say I'm not exactly getting up to bus catching speed on the regular, right? That being said, arm one of those motherfuckers with a hammer or a knife. Something tells me, forget the fact that I could disarm them, right? And I'm pretty sure I could. I can kind of parkour my ass away from them rather easily. Not so much with bullets, all right? And of course, you see now where I got the third part of show me who's taking a hammer or a knife and mass killing people in schools, churches, theaters, etc., right? This guy is very dishonest. Very dishonest, and he's not fooling anybody. The people that are actually going along with him, they know full well, but you know what? It suits their stance and what they want to believe, so they're going to go with it. And then, of course, the people who are not going to fall for it, well, they're not. So there's that.
Statistics.
Including ARs.
My bag. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Rifles
Statistics in his bag that he never actually pulls out.
count for
How
2.66%
many
of
folks
gun
are killing
deaths.
people with hammers?
Well, I mean, it's a good weapon, I guess.
I feel
For
real
obvious
good if
reasons.
somebody has a hammer. If all you have is a hammer,
Well, but yeah, if you have a gun, yeah, you're doing
but I
pretty
mean,
well.
even if you don't have a gun, I
Yeah.
feel like I could stop a hammer.
Yeah, but you're a pretty
Can't
good fighter.
do a
Most
goddamn
people
thing
aren't.
about an AR.
See, even which makes, and this is the reason why I'm very weary of statistics, right? He supposedly has these statistics in his bag. He never actually pulls them out and shows them. Okay. But let's just say for argument that he does have these statistics. Oh my god, look, statistics done by whatever source. Cite your sources. Okay. This is why you need to trust more on logic and common sense rather than some supposedly scientific, supposedly peer-reviewed journal entry, whatever the hell, some study, some statistic from some organization. Okay? You never know how that shit was done. Anytime you hear of statistics, you gotta ask yourself the question. And especially outside of strictly speaking science, like chemistry or physics, you got to ask, who's running the study, who's bankrolling the study, what biases do the people have, right? How was the study conducted? Case in point, that whole 1 in 4 rape statistic, which has been completely debunked by the left and the right. Right? Okay. So much so that the inventor of that 1 in 4 statistic said it could have been done better. That's not something you say to something that you did as exhaustively honest and efficient as possible, as humanly possible, especially at the time. Okay. And then the last one, what did they leave out that they should have put in? What did they put in that they shouldn't have? stuff like that. And that's just the first 5 that I can come up with off the top of my head. There's probably a bunch of other questions you got to ask anytime you see statistics. I think it was Bill Burr that said it. You know what? I could go to I'mRight.com and find statistics to support whatever the hell I want. You know? So be very wary of statistics or even science in general outside of, strictly speaking, like chemistry, physics, computer science, definite, absolute, finite, raw numbers, not percentage or per capita or any kind of statistical jujitsuing you want to do. Outside of raw absolutes, be very weary of science and statistics.
Well, that's not true. I can take away your AR if you're.
For how close do you have to be to do
I
that?
just got to reach it. It's
Yeah.
very easy to take away an AR.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How easy?
I just
You
need
should give
to
out-
get a hand on the barrel.
You should give
And
out
it was one-
AR
whoever-
takeaway classes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've taken those classes. That's
Yeah.
why I know it's so easy. Whoever controls the barrel of any gun controls the gun.
Right.
People don't quite realize that. They think if they're gripping it, then they control the gun. That's not true.
Right.
We can.
We're in the weeds now, though.
Yeah,
right?
we're getting the weeds. We can demonstrate that.
Okay. Okay, Colonel Campbell. All right. Okay. Okay, fake me out, big boss. Okay. You know, he's doing a hell of a lot of looking down, just like that American Sniper did in his interviews. Before they found out that he was full of shit and lying about a whole bunch of stuff, this dude's doing a whole lot of looking down. I wonder what the hell's holding up that eye patch too. Anyway, anybody, law enforcement that's gonna come across this video, military, anyone, yeah, just martial artist, you know, because every single martial arts, from Aikido to Jiu-Jitsu to whatever, they all have disarming videos. Go on ahead and say if this guy is correct or not.
Yeah.
Afterwards, so
I have a flamethrower. Maybe grab that.
yeah,
No rifles in here.
is that what that?
That's Elon Musk's
I wasn't
flamethrower.
sure what that was.
Are you going to take a picture with that later?
Okay, can I actually use it though?
Yeah. We can turn it on as long as you don't cook the ceiling.
Okay, but I can cook
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, you'll be the only one.
Back on topic, people. Back on topic. Come on.
It doesn't have to be in the room. But,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
does though.
Okay,
Picture.
well,
You gotta do
obviously.
it in the room. So, have you thought about this? I mean, if you had a magic wand and they said, "Hey, Dan Crenshaw, what can you do to solve this mass gun violence? What can you do to solve these mass shootings?"
Yeah,
End white supremacy, that's one. Notice I didn't say end white people. The vast majority of white people aren't doing those things. Now, there are a hell of a lot of white supremacists, and white supremacy isn't just, oh my God, Jews will not replace us and all them and all those overt types. No. There's no shortage of white supremacy in halls of power, in halls of media, in halls of schools, halls of the legal system. They're everywhere. Doctors, lawyers, you know, they're everywhere. Okay, white supremacists in mind. Okay, so ending that. Now, good luck doing that. However you're gonna do that, but there's no shortage of white people that are not white supremacists. So it's not ending white people, it's ending white supremacy. That will solve the vast majority of it. That will also actually solve a lot of the other crimes too.
I mean, you have to target the source of them, and it's just not an easy conversation.
Right.
And so let's also
Because
think
it
about where
involves
these things
ending
started.
white
We're
supremacy.
talking about the theatrical mass shootings. There's a lot of statistics out there. They'll say we have hundreds of them, you know, which include 4 or more deaths, but these are usually gang violence. So
Again, back to the gang violence. No. It's not just the gang violence, all right? And we all know what that's code word for.
gang violence is it's in a category, right?
I believe there was 279 mass shootings so far this year, and some of them they do include gang violence.
Right.
I think it's 2 or more. Is that what it's deemed, mass shootings?
Yeah, it might be more.
Which is so fucking weird that we have a statistic. Well, that doesn't count. It's only.
Well, you got to draw the line somewhere. And you got to be able
Right.
to analyze. If you're going to analyze it, you have to look into that. But I think the dramatized shootings that these guys are doing, it all started with Columbine, and it's become this sort of copycat crime that has occurred over time. And we didn't have this before that, and I think that's interesting. And I think it's something to take note of. And it's not clear what you do about that. You have to look for signs of people before they do it. And so one bill that I'm on, which is
So what, like some 1984, or was it Brave New World? 1984, Brave New World, one of those two. Some Orwellian thing where, oh my God, thought crimes. That's effectively what you're trying to do. Thought crimes. All these mass shooters that have gone around and done stuff, they had perfect criminal. They didn't have any criminal record. They legally got the guns, so it wasn't criminals that did this. It wasn't people that stole guns. No, they were law-abiding citizens, and they got the guns legally. I.e., they were just like anybody else. So there was no way that you could have possibly been able to tell that they were doing. I mean, hell, there's no shortage of people that do all the things they do, have all the white supremacist stuff in their house, but they haven't gone and shot up a whole bunch of places, or a whole bunch of places yet. And if you try and take away their guns, oh my God, see, look, they're taking our guns. So, no, your thought of, oh, well, we need to see what the signs are, that's not going to work. Besides, the moment you go and the moment you go and write down in stone or on paper or type in a computer what the signs are, you change the signs, done. Now you're back at square one.
Which is I've taken a lot of fire for, because if the people are just, I think, misunderstand what it actually is the TAPS Act, which is the Threat Assessment, Prevention and Safety Act. All this does is give local law enforcement the ability to apply for grants to get training and behavioral threat assessment training and data analytical tools to identify these threats beforehand.
Yeah, and people are right to do that, okay, because, well, when it comes to non-white people, especially black people, these local law enforcement, as if they don't already have enough power, let's just say you're not fooling us when it comes to what you are going to deem as a threat, okay? And oh my God, blame it on the training. Oh my God, we just need more training when we thought that this guy who might have had something in his hand but was really nothing at all but thin air in his hand, posed a threat. And based on the threat assessment training from the TAPS Act that we got, no. And then, of course, white people are equally concerned. White people in general, and I guess maybe the white supremacists specifically, because, yeah, you go and put this in motion, and they end up getting caught up by the 1 or 2 cops that might actually do their fucking job. Yeah. And then, of course, the white people that aren't white supremacists that get caught up in this crap, too, is kind of like, this was supposed to stop criminals. Why am I getting caught up in this? So, yeah, everybody's right. And of course, just a general distrust of law enforcement right now, because you can see all the videos, when they do their fucking job as they're getting paid taxpayer dollars to do. Yay, okay, good for you. You're doing your job. You want a fucking cookie? Like, I'm doing my job too when I go to work. But when they don't do their job and they abuse their power and fuck shit up for people, that causes a lot of problems, It's real easy to burn a building down, but it takes God knows how long in comparison to build it up rather than burn it down. It's kind of like that.
And people that are opposed to it, they look at it like red flag laws, right?
They combine those two quite a bit, and it's just not true. I mean, the TAPS Act doesn't.
They probably combine it because they know full well this is just a different name for the same shit. You know, like again, you're not fooling people.
Actually have anything to do with guns.
And red flag laws, depending on how they're implemented, could take someone who looks like they're erratic or who has a penchant for violence.
Depending on how it's, I mean, you heard him say it, depending on how. And how it takes somebody who looks like. You could just be pissed off one day. Oh, but you look erratic. You look like. This is why people aren't falling for it.
And they would say, you do not have access to guns.
Right, in theory, that would be how they work. And they would fill a gap, I think, and it depends on the state. Some states have all the ability they need to see threatening behavior and then arrest that person. Mm-hmm. But it depends on criminal law within that state. So theoretically, a red flag law would fill that gap. The concern with red flag laws, obviously, is there really due process? A lot of people hear that and they're like, okay, that means my neighbor can tell on me and they're going to have my guns the next morning. Well, yeah, I mean, if that's how the law was written, then yeah, you better be against that because that's a terrible law.
Right.
And to be fair to a lot of the people who don't like red flag laws, they see how these are written in a lot of states. I think California has one. And they see how those are written and they say, this doesn't protect due process. How can we possibly be for this? Now, on the other hand, there hasn't been any cases where there's been some obvious abuse of that law either. So, I've encouraged the conversation. I think the conversation has to happen at the state level because every state has different criminal law, and that's where criminal law happens. It does not happen at the federal level.
The only other controversial approach that I've heard is putting armed police or soldiers at schools, which is like that seems incredibly disturbing to me. That you have to have people. Look, I'm not opposed to it.
Not opposed to it. Okay, Joe. I've been real suspicious of Joe for a while, but okay, Joe, not opposed to it. Okay, if you're not opposed to it, then why the hell are you disturbed by it? Why do you find it disturbing if you're not opposed to it?
But it's disturbing to me that you would have to have someone standing by ready for violence.
Well, we have guards everywhere. Mm-hmm. Why not our schools?
Yeah, you have guards everywhere. Not all guards are armed and could possibly go and target a bunch of people, a group of people as, oh, well, I believe that person was a threat. I happen to believe that person was a threat. No. Yeah, okay, this whole place got shot up by this one person who had all this weaponry, had all this fucking ordnance, and I just didn't realize they were a threat. But all these other people over here, if you know what I mean, yeah, I saw that. I viewed each and every single one of them. Yeah, they don't have those. They might have mall cops. They might have unarmed security. They might have stuff like that. But they don't have people with guns that could easily go and accidentally make a mistake, make a split-second decision call, and always happen to make the wrong split-second decision call when it involves certain people and not others. Yeah. That's why.
Which because we've never had them before. And it's sort of signaling that we've reached this point of impasse where we have to do something about it. And we're not doing anything to prevent these things from happening. What we're doing is protecting the people that are going to be there when these things happen.
Yeah, I think inner city schools have long had police presence there.
Just. I wonder how many inner city schools have long had police presence there. Really? Again, always going back to black people. How many inner city schools? Because from what I've come to understand, cops aren't exactly arresting people there 24/7, right? I can't remember the last time I heard of a school in the ghettos of New York or in DC anywhere, inner city schools. Okay. But got to bring up black people, right? It works on them. It works on them, not for them, on them. Okay.
So it's not. I don't think it's totally new. The idea, and I think we could rapidly get used to
that. And which inner city school? I mean, hell, considering inner cities are strapped for cash in a lot of cases, compared to other areas. Where are they getting the money to have these police there permanently all the time while school is in session? Yeah, okay. Okay.
But there's a good argument to be made that gun-free zones are the first thing that are attacked, too. So,
and now you see where my argument, or my comment of, yeah, okay, gun-free zones. What happened in El Paso? In a open fucking carry state of Texas. What happened in El Paso? Okay.
I mean, you know, it's a counterintuitive response to this, but it's true. If I'm going to commit a terrible act, of course you're going to go to the place where you know nobody's carrying.
Yeah, you're not going to a gun show.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let me understand this correctly. Hey, Texas. Y'all aren't packing down there? Is that what I'm to understand? Texas is some leftist liberal utopia where nobody has guns, really? If so, okay. If not, what happened in El Paso? Not a single fucking person? That mass shooter that shut up that country concert. You tell me there wasn't a single person in that entire country concert out in the middle of nowhere that wasn't packing something, anything at all? That Vegas shooter. Now, isn't Vegas also an open carry state or a pro gun state? Let's actually take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. Is Vegas, or I guess Nevada, a open carry state. Nevada has no laws prohibiting open carry and without a law criminalizing. Okay, and this is come from nevadacarry.org, so I kind of think it's not just some. Right. Nevada has no laws prohibiting open carry, and without a law criminalizing something, it is legal. It is legal to do that thing. So yet again, we had an open carry state. Nobody was packing in Vegas that could have taken down that shooter. Right. Let's get back to it.
Unless you were just
want to
really,
die.
you're really looking for a fight.
Yeah.
But that's there's some truth to that, and it's just hard. It's so hard for people to have this conversation because it's so emotional, and there's a cultural fissure here too. There's some people don't understand some people who like guns.
Right.
And there's a cultural divide there.
Yeah.
And I just don't like people who like guns. We have to admit that's true.
Well, they have this idea of guns, that guns bring violence and violent people want guns, and that's just...
Yeah, well, maybe because all these mass shootings are, again, happening with mass shootings, not mass stabbings, not mass hammerings, not mass running over with cars, right? That one guy that went and took that Dodge Charger and ran over those group of people in, was it Charlottesville or wherever? He killed only one person. Only one. Right? Okay. Not mass ass kickings. I haven't heard of anybody getting beaten to death. Again, working on that flash speed. Not able to outrun a bullet yet, but I can outrun a motherfucker with a gun, with a knife, with a hammer, with a baseball bat, with a crowbar, lead pipe, nunchucks, whatever. And if you have a car, you know what? I can jump the fuck out the way. Okay? Who knows? I might even do that movie shit where I, oh my god, jump on top of the car and all that crap, and then roll. Not able to do any of that shit when it comes to guns. Not yet. Who knows? Maybe I can get on that Luke Cage business. Who knows? So, yeah, I dare say that's the reason why people are kind of weary of people that are so, oh my God, my guns, my guns, my guns. Especially because all of the arguments that you types and kinds come with are proving not to work. Areas of high gun ownership are low in crime. Okay, what do you consider high gun ownership? What do you consider low? What number are you using to say low in crime? Okay. Again, how the hell are you conducting this study? Who's bankrolling the study? How is the study being conducted? And again, what the hell happened in these open carry states where people were shooting and there was nobody with a gun anywhere to be found? Okay, well, let's look at the places where there are people with guns to be found. What happened what was it, Sandy Hook or wherever the hell that was, where there was an active shooter and the cop on duty responding to the call, he's armed. Law enforcement, not even a citizen. Oh my God, the citizen could have been scared. No, law enforcement with the training and all that foolishness. Went the other way. He either ran back to his car or stayed in his car. Was that not a good person with a gun that could have stopped the bad person with? No, the only way to stop a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun. Okay, what the fuck happened there? Your arguments, your pro-gun arguments do not work in real life. Okay? They do not work in real life. And the reason, I'll just flat out say it right now, the reason why there is not even more gun violence than there currently is because people are largely segregated. You get a whole bunch of black people moving into certain places like Wyoming or North Dakota or something like that, and all of a sudden you're going to find a whole lot more white people shooting them and more gun violence, especially if those black people aren't armed as well. Whether the crime increases or not, you're going to find more gun violence because more white people are going to feel the need, oh my God, feelings, snowflake, feelings, feel the need. And it's not just black people. Hell, get more Hispanics in there. They might not have a problem with Asians. East Indians maybe as well. Reverse it, get a whole bunch of black people with the guns, and then start moving in white people in certain areas. I mean, yeah. And then, of course, you got to ask yourself, how many drug and gun-related and weapons-related deaths are happening in Oklahoma, in Wyoming, in all of these other places? Plus, what is the population density? Look at places where it's all black, all white, all Hispanic. If that's actually, I guess, only all white or damn near all white is the only thing you can do, because wherever you see Asians, blacks, Hispanics, and stuff like that, it's usually mixed in. Go to Wyoming. How many people are getting killed and strung out, killed from drug-related stuff, meth, right? So there you go. That is the reason why. People are segregated. You got Asians in their communities. People tend to be around their own people more, right? But the moment you introduce people to other people, yeah, that's where problems come. More or less. It seems to me like white people are the only ones who seem to have a problem with this. Asians have no problem moving into black areas, setting up businesses, and nothing happens. So no, it's not that black people are just also violent. In fact, you see no shortage of Asian dudes, old Asian male store owners, beating on black women, right? If they were also scared to do that, you think they'll be doing that if they were also scared of black violence? Right? Go do that in a white area, especially a white area where the white people have guns, and you're sitting there beating the hell up on their women and shit. See what happens. Right. maybe it's not black people with guns that are the problem, or maybe it's not black people in general that are the problem. Just maybe. Asians seem to have no problem moving into their spaces and setting up shop. Yeah.
It's not true. And one of the things that people like to gloss over is how many people have defended their life and defended the lives of their loved ones with guns in this country every year. It happens all the time.
I've got a whole list of stats. And
Now, I wonder which states those are in. I really wonder which states those are in. Then I also wonder, geez, are those people defending themselves against who exactly? Because, like, let's take a look at, I don't know, California. People break in, right? People are breaking in. They're defending themselves with what? Are people breaking in? There you go. Same thing with Maryland. If people break into your place, okay, well, first of all, are people breaking in? Take a place like, I don't know, Texas or Oklahoma or Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever. People are breaking in. Are they breaking in? Okay, fine, they're breaking in. They're the ones with the guns. Yeah, it's real easy to sit here and say that when they have the guns to do that, okay? What are all these people that are getting broken into that don't have guns? How are they defending themselves? Are they, in fact, even getting broken into? You got to ask yourself that question. See, because the thing is, these areas that have guns, but the people are defending themselves and getting broken into, why is that? Why exactly are they even getting broken into in the first place? You can't blame black people because I'm willing to bet these places don't have a high concentration of black people. Okay? They don't. I'm willing to bet they don't. But yet, there's still crime where people are breaking into people's places. So it seems to me it's not because black or because anything else. It seems to me it's because low economic opportunity, which they don't actually touch on, but that would be the more accurate thing to say rather than what he goes and says later. And you'll see, keep this in mind for later, what he actually does say, right? But low economic opportunity, low opportunities. How many break-ins are happening in places where people have opportunities to work and be able to afford stuff? You really got to ask yourself that question. You really got to ask yourself that question. And when you're looking at places of low opportunity, don't just look at Chicago or inner cities. Maybe look at some of these rural places as well. Flyover country where nobody gives a fuck. Okay? Including the person in power right now who they thought was on their side, but they still don't have any economic opportunity. Gotta ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
And examples that I could read to you
Well,
right now.
Unfortunately, one of the things that gets brought up during gun violence statistics, they talk about how many people die from firearms every year in this country. They're also talking about people who've defended their lives and defended the lives of their loved ones. People get their houses broken into all the time by armed criminals, and they shoot those people. And
right, they shoot those people. And where are these? Which states are these? Because if it's the gun-free states, they're not exactly shooting back, are they? So then, how are they defending themselves? So it has to be the areas where people are allowed to have guns. Okay. Why is there crime in those states, right? Isn't the high gun ownership low in crime? So why are all those people having to defend themselves from people breaking in by shooting back at them? Very interesting.
they live to see another day, and that person dies. And that is the whole reason why people don't want to get rid of guns.
Right. And I want to...
No, that's not the whole reason. That's the reason that is output. That is the reason that is output. Okay? And I can tell that just from the NRA alone and how the NRA was also pro-gun the moment black people back in the 60s did exercise their First Amendment, or Second Amendment rights. All of a sudden the NRA was also pro-gun. Now that black people really aren't really having guns as a whole like that anymore, right? All of a sudden they're anti-gun control. You want the NRA to be pro-gun control? You want all of these pro-gun people to be pro-gun control? Start arming black people more than anybody else. Maybe Hispanics too. Okay, fine. But start having black people arm themselves and exercise their Second Amendment rights. You will see the NRA. Oh, wow. All right? So, no, it's not about protecting people, because if that was the case, you'd be for everyone having a gun. But it's only certain people. Everyone of a certain group having a gun. The moment people of another group have a gun, you know what? Violence is not the answer. We are all one. We are the world. We are the people. Blah, 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 blah. So, not playing dumb here. Not playing dumb.
Bring something up along those lines. So it's far more likely in countries like Great Britain that you'll get your house broken into while you are there. Far more likely than in the United States. Like by a good order of magnitude, actually. So why is that? Right? Because they know.
I fucking hate this thing. I have a feeling that's not true in the least bit, but I don't have anything, I don't know of anything that can refute that. I just get the sense that that is not true, or that if it is generally true but not technically true, or technically true but not generally true, he's twisting certain things to make it seem like that. But Britain's weigh in on that.
Oh, that there is no gun in that house.
Right.
And you do that in Texas, there's a good chance there's a gun in that house.
Probably 100%.
Yeah, even the liberals like,
They get mad at you if you don't have a gun.
Right.
Like,
Like,
hey,
this
take one of
isn't-
mine.
Yeah.
Fuck you doing without a gun?
And yet, as I said before, what the fuck happened in El Paso? What happened? Okay. Everybody in Texas is just walking around with all kinds of straps, just armed to the nines, really? Or maybe not armed to the nines, but everybody in Texas, well, most people in Texas, a lot of people in Texas has guns. What happened in El Paso? Right.
So that's important, an interesting point.
Yeah.
The other good statistical analysis to do is, okay, like when there's high amount of concealed carry, what does that do to crime rates? And the correlation is there's less crime. Okay,
Yes.
now it's not fair to say that's a causation. That would be intellectually dishonest, but it's an important correlation to note. It's also important to note, okay,
Really? Areas of high gun ownership are low in crime. Sweden, I believe also Norway, Iceland too. Japan, as far as I'm concerned, I may have to recheck them, but Japan is another noticeable example. I don't think you're allowed to just walk around with a gun or I don't think Japan has high gun ownership. You don't really hear of crime coming out of Japan so much. Right. That again, who did that study? Who bankrolled it? How was the study conducted? What biases did they have? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
capita, places like Switzerland and Israel have far more gun ownership than we do.
Right. Now, on that happy note, let me bring up those screenshots that I said. And of course, if you want to go find, in fact, just to show you that I'm not lying, here goes one. I don't know if this thing's going to zoom in. See, there's him. There's what I'm about to read off. Quote, and this comes from Raimundo Machado. Right, Raimundo Machado, okay. Quote, willful ignorance or intellectual dishonesty to support your cause is not correct. In Switzerland, people keep their guns after military service, but cannot as in caps, keep or carry any ammo. Ammunition is controlled and used at gun ranges only, and no ammo can leave the gun range. So basically, people have a gun-shaped stick at home. Okay. And there's another one. This is from Daniel Gallagher. Again, there's Joe Rogan in this one. Daniel Gallagher. Okay, and I'm going to read off what he says. For those curious, I did some brief quote. For those curious, I did some brief research into this. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Some of Switzerland's gun law / rules. Point one, or bullet point one. All able-bodied people must serve a minimum of 245 days in the Swiss military service. I believe you can break that up, and don't have to knock it all out in 1 year. Second bullet point. There's free acquisition of semi-automatic weapons, but not fully automatic. Yeah. Third bullet point. Open carry is not very common, and it requires a special permit that's given sparingly. I happen to know that that's also for Israel as well. The vast majority of guns are by the Israeli military walking around on the streets. It's not by the actual citizens. Next bullet point. Rifles and handguns with magazines over 10 to 20 rounds require a special license. Next bullet point. No gun if you have a violent criminal record and consecutive convictions. Next point. Must be 18 or over to buy a gun. Next point. Police must have documentation on your guns. Next point. Guns can be passed down under a contract that is then shared with the police. Next point. A background check takes 2 weeks, and if there must be no Okay, I'm reading it word for word the way he wrote it. Background checks take 2 weeks, comma, and if there must be no suspicion, reading it word for word, that one will harm themselves or others. Mass buying, parentheses, mass buying. Next point, a lot of restrictions on types of ammunition. Okay, and then he makes a space, shallow rundown, but wanted to put that info out there, and he already has 2 thumbs up as of right now. So there's that. You see how dishonest this man is being. Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Is that true?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Switzerland?
I wouldn't come in here and lie to you.
I know, but I mean,
Is that right?
I'm stunned. It's a rhetorical question.
Well, it's because.
And of course, Joe outputs this, and it gets put here. Is that true? He probably should have checked that out before you let that on the air, or maybe check it out first, and if it's not true, or if he's misleading, right? He's not completely wrong, but he's very misleading or whatever. Have an edit. You can't tell me you don't have an editing crew. Be like, okay, so to clarify, blah, 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 kind of like what I just read off here. Moving on. That's all you had to do, Joe. Very suspicious about Joe.
Now somebody would counter-argue that and say, no, those are government weapons issued to people. Yeah, fine, but they still are with the people. Like the people.
Okay, and well, there's that. And I will also note that America is probably the country that has the easiest access to guns, but yet, yeah. Okay, so there's that.
People have the guns, okay, and they're at a rate higher than the United States.
Thought they were
and
neutral over there.
Yeah, but that's how they stay neutral.
Rate higher than the United States. Again, be careful of statistics, okay? I have a gun. Okay, is it an ornament gun? Is it just for show? Saying nothing of the policies and stuff that's required for it. A higher rate. Be very wary of people with their statistics. Be very wary of that.
So, they have almost no crime. Almost no crime. Israel too. Almost no crime, except for the obvious issues that Israel has in general with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. But is it?
Yes, almost no crime, and yet they supposedly have all these guns. And of course, I just read off what I read off. Again, Sweden, Norway, maybe Denmark. I can't imagine Iceland has a whole shit ton of crime. You know? Something tells me Iceland isn't just packing left and right with guns. Same thing with Sweden and Denmark and stuff. Again, Japan, also low in the crime. Something tells me they're not packed with guns. There's not a gun behind every blade of grass, all right? And again, the U.S., where people have the most access to guns and the most, or the easiest access to guns, and is known as the gun country of the world, pretty much. And again, look at the crime. Well, all those countries you named don't have a shit ton of black people. For all those who are going to come with that argument, again, I will say Asians have no problem going into black areas and setting up shop left and right. If they were also scared, why do they need to do that? Or why do they keep going into black areas and setting up shop? Why not going to white areas and set up shop? I will also note, look at all the places where black people are, and show me an area where there's a high concentration of black people that have not had, either now and or historically, white supremacists fucking them up. Case in point, South Africa is one. Pretty much all of sub-Saharan, actually all of Africa, sub-Saharan or not, where white supremacy has gone in there on a global scale and messed stuff up, causing that problem. Right. Same thing with Latin America. Confessions of an economic hitman and all that. Right. So, moving right along.
Does a criminal act, like they have very little crimes. Like this is interesting. So you combine that with what we know about concealed carry data here in the United States. How do you solve this problem? The other thing to think about is the vast majority, over 50% of all gun crime, it happens in like 2% of all counties. So it's highly concentrated. You can. So as we look to solve this problem,
I don't know why the hell it doesn't just say it. Chicago, Baltimore, barrios, ghettos. Just come out and say it.
like we do have to really peel back some layers here. Like who is committing the crime? Where is it happening? Why is it happening? We can attack the tools, but it's so far from self-evident that would work.
And in the case of black people, let's just say black people, the vast majority of crimes with black people, oh my God, what about black crime? Yeah, that happens to individual black people. Individual black people having a beef with another individual black person goes, steps to them, fucks them up, and that be that. Black people, much like everybody else, non-white male, right, is not going around spraying everybody, just random indiscriminate spraying, except in the case of the DC sniper, in which case it was just cops. It wasn't even random people, as far as I can remember. Then there's that Virginia Beach business, right? And then of course this one in Philly just now, where it was strictly cops. I didn't hear of anybody non-law enforcement getting hit, right? Very specific. The Virginia one is the only one that seemed, and actually even that I believe was localized to his former company, right? He either got fired or quit or laid off or some crap, and then he decided to go post them on can't remember if that's correct, but he zeroed in on random people in the company, so it's not just. But then you look at Dylan Roof, Elliot Rogers, all of them. Right. And for anybody who's going to say, oh, well, Elliot Rogers, he just couldn't get any ass and he was just an incel. Watch. Yeah, but in the case of black people, that's the case. Case of pretty much everywhere else, that's the case. Look at what's going on and look at how white supremacy has either current day and or historically fucked it up.
Again, going back to ARs, they're responsible for less than 3% of gun deaths. And also, let's say you banned them. Are you actually stopping 3% of gun deaths? No. Because why don't they just use another gun? Why don't they use a different weapon? Why don't they use a truck? Like they can use, if they want to kill, they can kill. The horror that we're seeing is that they like to kill this way. And maybe that's like why.
Yeah, probably because you're, look, was it Chris Rock that said it? Yeah, I think it was Chris Rock. I haven't heard of Chris Tucker in the longest fucking time. Not since Rush Hour. Yeah. If any mass killer that's able to, in a short period of time, like in that time, not over months or years, no, in that literal 10-minute, is able to go around and stab a whole bunch of people, those people deserve to die. The first person, maybe if he's fast, the first or second person, but you're not about to tell me that you're about to stab 3 or more people so fast that they couldn't get the fuck out the way, run, or try to disarm you or something. Okay? You're not about to tell me that. Same thing with a hammer, a knife, crowbar, a lead pipe, tire iron, a ball of cotton, your new cell phone, your old cell phone, some shit, okay? Shoelace, stiletto heel. Yeah. If you see, paraphrasing Chris Rock, if you see 5 other people get stabbed before you, oh shit, he got stabbed. Oh shit, she got stabbed. Oh damn, one more. Oh shit, they're getting closer. And they still manage to stab you, you deserve to die. Okay? You are, maybe not asking, but deserve to die. On the other hand, bullets, where it's like, and the fact that Joe Rogan didn't call this guy out, I don't think it's because Joe Rogan is slow, or at least that's not what I'm going to, whether he is or not, I'm not going to blame that as being the reason. I think it's because I think Joe is a little bit suspecting. I'm a little suspicious of Joe as far as his whole white supremacist leanings himself. Okay, and that's the reason why he's not calling that out. Pretty fucking obvious.
Why is that? And again, I go back to Columbine. It all started with that, and that's interesting. We should look at that and like what is driving people to like that.
Well, I think there are a lot of people. I mean, if you look at mass shootings, a lot of these people, when you read their description.
Right, so he doesn't do what I just did. It's a lot easier, a lot faster, a lot more efficient, perhaps even less bloody, to kill with a gun. You can kill more people at once than with a knife, with a lead pipe, with a crowbar. Now, remember what I said about incels? Yeah, and I said keep that in mind for later. Here's that later.
They're very disenfranchised, they're very angry, and when you're disenfranchised and very angry, there's like an archetype, right? There's an image that you have in your mind of shooting all these people that wronged you. I mean, this is...
goes back to our victimhood conversation.
Sure.
Geez, I wonder why black people don't have that about, you know? Yeah, we don't get to say this, okay? If black people as a whole kept doing these mass shootings the way white males kept doing these mass shootings, there wouldn't be any, oh my God, we need to analyze, we need to, oh my God, all the excuses Joe just came up with, okay? There wouldn't be any of that. Get those niggers back to Africa now. Hispanics did that. Build that motherfucking wall. Asians did. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Right here on my Twitter. In fact, even though it's probably not good practice, not good security practice, let's go straight to my Twitter right now.
I can learn to understand you much better.
Shut up, bitch. Microsoft Edge. Twitter. Let's go to my Twitter right now. Am I still signed in? Yes, I am still signed in. Alright, so my stuff. Where is it? Tweets and replies, just tweets. Here we go. Here it is right here. See this? Yeah. So there is that.
Yeah.
And blame somebody else.
Well, and then the real conversation is how many of these people are on psychotropic drugs, and what are those drugs?
Do you get to say that with black people? Oh my God, all this black on black crime. Oh my God, those poor black people. Oh my God, the drugs. It's not because black, it's because drugs. No, that's never said. It's never said. Oh my God, all these mass terrorists, Muslim terrorists. Oh my God, it's not because Islam or something. It's because yeah, drugs. Not everybody's on drugs like you. Not everybody's on that DMT, DHT, whatever the fuck that is. No, weed does not cause that. Even crack and meth does not cause that. Sorry, Joe. Maybe you've been choked out too many times. You're not getting enough blood flow, or maybe too many brain cells died during jiu-jitsu class. I don't know. But, yeah, no. No, it's not the fucking drugs. Again, Roseanne tried that shit, and the drug companies let it be known. Or the drug company let it be known. No, bitch, no. Nope. Keep our name out your mouth, bitch. Right.
And what are the effects those drugs have on people? Well, when you look at the numbers, it's fucking stunning. But
one other thing to kind of bring home the point of, no, bitch, it's not the drugs. White women seem to be on the most amount of drugs, maybe antidepressants, of anyone, male or female. And there have been zero, say it with me now, zero, please repeat, zero, count them, zero white female mass shooters. It's not the drugs, you imbecile.
whether it's anti-anxiety medications or SSRIs or amphetamines or whether it's whatever they're on that alters the chemical frequency or the biological structure of your brain in terms of like what chemicals are in there, serotonin, dopamine.
But this only affects white males, why there's so many of them. It doesn't affect anybody else. Are white males the only ones taking drugs? Really? Okay. And this doesn't seem to be happening in any other country either. Britain isn't exactly having mass shooters like that. Neither is anywhere else in Europe, even though they're complaining about, oh my God, we're being disenfranchised and all this shit too. Or at least the white people are complaining about that. White men especially. But even they aren't doing it. So, yeah, okay.
These speeds that so many kids are on Adderall and various types of speed. That stuff radically changes the way you look at the world.
Yeah.
How many black kids were put on Ritalin, especially during the 90s, going into early 2000s? And for all of that, we only have two or three mass shootings, which weren't even proper mass shootings where you just shot in mass random people. They were targeted. Two were targeted to the cops. Again, DC Sniper and the other one. And that Pennsylvania shooting, Philadelphia, I think it was, right? And then the one that seemed like the most mass shooting, an actual mass shooting, again, if I'm not mistaken, it was a mass shooting of people at his job. Right. Okay.
How many of those drugs contribute or are a factor in these mass killings? I don't
Zero.
know if correlation equals causation, but I do know the correlation is phenomenally high.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's in the high...
fatherless homes, things like that.
Yes,
Things-
sure.
Let's
Abuse,
start analyzing it.
bullying,
Absolutely.
incels, which is a new word. Involuntary celibates. Did you know about that?
Huh.
You didn't know about that? I taught you about incels?
You just did.
And then his dumbass with his retard smile. Okay.
Look at
Amazing. Yeah, there's whole groups online on message boards that they can't believe they can't get laid. And they just go, fuck.
Involuntary. So
Yeah, they're just guys who can't get laid.
Yeah, that's just a fancy word for
Losers.
that.
Yeah.
No, let's not call them losers. That's what makes
Well,
them crazy.
There you go. Incels, MGTOW, TFLers, or whatever the hell you want to call yourselves today. There you go. And a whole bunch of you motherfuckers subscribe to Joe Rogan's foolishness. Probably even subscribe to Joe Rogan right now. There you go. There you go. But of course, a lot of you are subscribed to Joe Rogan because of his white supremacist slant, not because you think he's also cool and he's red-pilled in that he's enlightened on women. No. So, there's that. Yeah. And I think at this point, after this, I don't even need to go through the last 5 minutes. I think that's just some other foolishness, but yeah. So the reason why there's so many mass shootings is drugs and disenfranchisement. Yeah, black people know all about disenfranchisement, by the way. And because you can't get no pussy, you can't get arse, you can't get no vag, so that's gonna make you shoot shit up. Was it not OkCupid or Plenty of Fish, some online dating site that did a study that showed that white men are the ones that women pick the most and Asian women are the ones that men pick the most, or some shit like that? And that East Indian men are the least desired out of all men, even lower than Asians, right? Even lower than Asians. Now, it doesn't talk about strictly sex, because obviously black guys are at number one for sex. Desired for sex, obviously, right? But just picked overall, okay? Again, East Indians are the least desired in the dating market. They have, as I keep saying, they are not on the fucking board yet. Even Asians beat them. Even Asians are on the fucking mass shooting board with their one Virginia Tech. Okay, fine. East Indians are not on the fucking board. So if it's because you can't get no pussy, what's going on there? Okay. Because I don't really hear of, unless East Indians are keeping to themselves and they're like just passing around the pussy or getting pussy in their own group and nobody knows about it, I don't know. But I don't think that's how it's going in America. Maybe in India that might be the case. I don't know. But here in America, I don't think that's the case. So why aren't most, if not all, East Indian men mass shooters? Okay. Why aren't Asians mass shooters? Hell, have Asian guys finally figured out how to deal with all these Asian girls going on, getting scooped up by white dudes or going after white guys? Right? Have they finally figured that part out? Right? Yet Asians have their one, and it wasn't even because he couldn't get any ass. It's because he was fucking tired of the way white people get such an easier time to do shit than Asians, or at least than him. But oh my god, it's these incels. Oh my god, I taught you something new. All these guys online who just can't get laid. Okay. All right, Joe. All right. Okay, meanwhile, it's still white people and white men specifically that own shit in the US or in the Western world that still run shit, run the media, left and right, have the vast majority of the power. In general, maybe not purchasing power, that might be white women, who knows, whatever. But yeah, okay, whatever, whatever.
There's a game. There's winners and losers. And that high school football quarterback who's banging all the cheerleaders, that guy's a winner. It sucks that that's true. But, you know,
so unfair.
It is unfair. You know,
And yet, every other group of guys, every other race of guys, we have to go through that. I went through that shit too. Like, you have any idea how many girls I wanted to bang in high school and they weren't looking at me? And hell, I was on the football team for 1 year. Of course, Wooten was an academic school. Fucking Wooten, Jesus Christ. Wooten High School in Rockville, Maryland. That was an academic school, not athletic school. Plus, there's nothing I could have done in that school that would have made the girls want to give it up. Okay, the girls were going after the few white guys, even though it was damn near 100% Asian school, right? Okay, so the white people still ran that school. I think it was really more like 67% Asian or some crap like that, but it seemed like 100%. I should have gone to Churchill, where I grew up in elementary, middle school with the people that went to Churchill in Potomac, but I ended up at Wooten. Yeah, so there was nothing there. And then, of course, oh my God, it's an academic school. We'll do some academic type shit. Okay, well, you know what? I started the fucking chess club there. Okay? I don't know if it's still, no, I'm pretty sure it's not there now. Okay, but I started the fucking chess club there. Can't get more academic than that. That got me no pussy, okay? A few guys showed up to that thing. I handily wiped them out. And some of them never came back after they gotten beat. Like, I beat one in like 3 moves that fools made. I beat another one in 4 moves. That's, what is it, scholars made or whatever the hell it's called. And then, of course, the other ones where I just took it easy on them and just beat them slowly rather than quick. Only 3 ever showed back up. And not a single girl there showed up. So, yeah. Oh, wow. But I didn't go around shooting anybody. Oh, my God. I can't. Yeah.
I'm hoping genetic engineering fixes all that in the future. But you know, this is what you're dealing with a lot of times, is these guys that got a really shitty roll of the dice. And there's no other way to describe it.
Something tells me black men, more than anybody, even more than black women, although black women not too far behind, obviously, have the shittiest fucking roll of the dice of anyone. Black people aren't going around here shooting up motherfuckers because they can't get no ass. Okay? They're not going around here shooting up people because they're strung out on that. They're not super predators strung out on that weed or whatever the fuck. Or that crack that you smoke versus inject. No.
They got handed a terrible hand of cards.
Right.
And some of them are pilled up and angry and abused, and they have access to guns, and then next thing you know, there's a mass shooting.
Right. And then, you know, again, going back to the victim conversation, maybe they weren't dealt a bad hand, but they also tell themselves the wrong story about why that is and who's to blame. And it's that narrative just seeps within them, and it creates this. I mean, but you're absolutely right. When Bernie Sanders was on here, there was one thing I thought I agreed with him on, which is we have to look at the effects of these drugs and like really what they are. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's true.
It's amazing how much blowback you get from that, and it's by people that want to look at the guns. They just want to say, no. Why are you talking about psychotropic drugs? It's the guns. No, I'm talking about the guns, too. I mean, I don't necessarily think that really angry, volatile people that have criminal records should have guns. I think they shouldn't.
Right.
So the guns...
And again, as stated, these people that are doing these mass shootings had no criminal record. A lot of them, most if not all of them, had no criminal record. Not only that, it's not like they stole the guns, they got them legally. So all what you're saying right now is null and fucking void. And again, The reason why people aren't talking about the drugs is because, again, white women are the ones strung out on drugs and I believe also alcohol more than anybody else. And there are 0 white female mass shooters.
And we already
issue.
outlaw that.
Yes, we do. And we probably should, have some understanding of who you are before we give you a gun. The real question is, what is that understanding, and how do we go about doing that, and how do we keep people from making these incredibly rigid rules? I mean, particularly regionally, right? If you have states that decide to have incredibly rigid rules that preclude most people from having guns.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be possible if they just devise their own tests and they're honest about your perspectives on things.
And that's the fear, and it's an honest fear to
Yes.
have. Because, what is the limit? If you're on psychotropic drugs, should you be barred from having weapons?
Right.
Of course not.
If you're white, if you're black, oh my God, hey, we don't want them on that super weed. If you're Hispanic, if you're anybody else apart from white.
And how do you?
It's too easy.
How do you manage that? And the way we do it now, again, you have to have committed a crime of some sort. So there's other things too. If you abuse medication, if you abuse, medication, then I think you're also, according to federal law, like you're barred from owning that. That's in the system. I think dishonorable discharge from the military, things like that. So there's already a lot of standards that actually preclude you from buying a weapon. And there would be a very vigorous debate on how you add more standards to that.
Dishonorable discharge keeps you from buying a weapon?
That's what I've read. We could fact check that. But
that's interesting. I didn't know that one. I thought you had to have a felony.
Fact check? Oh, wow. About fucking time.
Maybe. I mean, it makes sense. But there's no answers. And this is the thing that...
Domestic abuse, too.
I came up with from... Is there something, Jimmy?
What?
Yeah? Dishonorable discharge and NFA. What's an NFA firearm?
NFA refers to the National Firearms Act. So that's what banned automatic weapons.
Based on a general court-martial conviction, a person who is convicted of a crime that is punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year, including dishonorable discharge, is prohibited.
Okay, so that's where we're getting it from.
Yes, okay. That's what it is. So it is true. So if you're imprisoned, not just a dishonorable discharge.
There's a lot of people dishonorably discharged. Probably not violently. They're not violent offenders.
What's disturbing, talking to you, talking to Bernie, talking to Tulsi, talking to everybody, is nobody has a solution. I mean, all the brightest minds that are thinking about this all the time.
Because they all know full well that the solution is an end to white supremacy, but you're not going to get that from them for obvious reasons, and you're not going to get it from the tokens that you have on there that happen to not be white because, well, should also be obvious fucking reasons. So, yeah. But they'll find a solution real quick if black people as a whole started realizing the bad hand they've been dealt historically up to present day, the cascading effects of that, and they start saying, you know what, fuck it. They enter God mode. You know what, I got nothing else to lose. Screw it. I'm already on the bottom. Or if anybody else does that. Hispanics do that in mass. East Indians do that in mass. Asians do that in mass. But especially black people. If you want to find some solutions to this whole entire thing that nobody, all these supposed brightest minds and intelligent people, were not able to find, have black people, just have black people start getting guns legally, law-abiding. Just have them start getting guns as a whole, like back in the Black Panther days, back in the 60s. Legally exercise their Second Amendment. Hell, have black people start moving to open carry states in mass and start exercising that Second Amendment. You will find, say it with me now, hear me out. You listening? You will find real fucking quick the solution to these guns. Real fucking quick. And the NRA will be 100% behind you in every way, including monetarily. Yeah, so that's that.
No one has one thing that makes sense.
Well, this gets to a very deep question about what are and I think I've briefly touched on this before. Like, why does government exist, and what are we capable of solving, and what needs to be solved by ourselves? You know, and what is just inherent to human nature, and it's evil, and we hate it, and we don't want it to be there, but it is. And is it appropriate for us to scream to our politicians and say, save us? And sometimes it is. Sometimes we can solve it. We should try, but we have to do it with some kind of constrained vision, as Thomas Sowell would put it, about what is possible, and then let's be reasonable about what is possible, and hit those two categories I said. Are we infringing on the rights of everyone for the sake of doing this? And second, is it going to actually solve the problem? And those are very important questions. And if we don't frame the debate within those, I think we're not doing justice to the problem itself.
True, but again, no one seems to have any logical course, any logical clear path. Like, this is how we're going to reduce gun violence. This is how we're going to stop mass shootings.
Just said it.
I mean, other than arming all these public places. I mean, I was in Rome recently, and when you go there, it's fucking stunning. It's military vehicles, guys with guns just strapped, ready to rock, just standing by, all over the place.
Yeah, and something tells me that the Roman, or Italian, I guess, armed forces aren't as trigger happy as American armed forces, and probably won't go around specifically targeting certain people, or you find that certain people end up getting killed. Maybe they're not targeting, but certain people end up getting killed disproportionately than other people. So maybe, just maybe, that's why the great Romans might not be so bad in having their military walk in the streets like that. Just maybe. Just maybe. And that's, of course, assuming that you didn't go on a day when the military just happened to be there, but had you gone the very next day, the streets would have been cleared, and it would just been nothing but leaning towers and freaking wine and cheese. Well, no, that's France. Leaning Tower, Italy, but wine and cheese, France, or whatever the hell else. Caesar statues and whatever. I don't know. Shit. I don't know. Sorry, Rome. Sorry, Italy. Mario! Pizza Mario! And talking like this. Mario. I'm sorry. I'm remembering that guy on the Peaky Blinders, that Italian guy. Luca. With respect. Okay. Before I lose you all, let me show you all who the hell I'm talking about here. Peaky Blinders. Luca Changrera. With respect. This motherfucker. Alright. This is a great show, by the way. Go watch this show. It's on Netflix. It's a nice show. Alfie's funny. Happens to be Jewish, yes. Sorry, people. Okay, they're gonna really block this. Alfie's funny. Alfie's funny. But yeah. See, it's one of these deals. The hat, the coat, this business. Yeah, it's one of these deals. Anyway, so sorry, Italy, but whatever. Moving on.
And I was like,
used to be that way.
No, it didn't. And I was like, wow, this is very. It's, you're trying to enjoy yourself when you're on vacation. You're checking all these ancient buildings, and then you're like, oh, look, fucking guns, military, tank. Look at that.
Yeah, and I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
You know, but again, like, you're right. We haven't come up with perfect solutions. We have some ideas that I think would mitigate these threats, and we've discussed those.
I just did.
But none of them seem tangible. Everything seems like just talk.
No, well, the TAPS Act that I talked about, I think, is perfectly tangible. Again, it won't solve everything.
You know what I'm gonna have?
But it mitigates
okay,
something.
that's not.
I think arms.
Fuck these two. I've had enough of them. yeah, that's fuck them. It's just shit. Fuck it. Yeah. So you've already heard the solution from me. There you go. Now I can't imagine how many gigs this shit is, so I'm hoping to God that Netflix even allows me to upload this crap. Okay. So anyway, it is now 8:29 as you see here. 8:29. Let me see. 8:29, 9, 8:29, 39, 10. I need to get my ass to the gym. And I'm gonna have to try to get the 5x5 done and get 30 minutes of cardio. God damn it. Anyway, whatever. There you go. Later.